What is the most effective type of leader? The answer is pretty easy, and after years of research, more than one source is willing to support this concept. But before we talk about what that answer is, let's talk about what kind of leaders we are currently seeing out in the world. We've got charismatic leaders, visionaries, the workhorse, and the micromanager. All of these types of managers have positives and negatives. The ones that we want to really back are described by Simon Sinek in his book, Leaders Eat Last, like this. He says, exceptional organizations all have cultures in which leaders provide cover from above and the people on the ground look out for each other. And the way any organization can achieve this is with empathy. That empathy must be found within the leader. And Harvard Business Review has done tons of research around this and discovered that leaders that have empathy will create a haven of security and openness that encourages sharing of mistakes as well as good ideas. This type of leader is there to protect and advance the lives of those whom he or she is leading. And I would say those that he or she is serving, because that is true leadership when you combine empathy with it. So the big question then is, what is empathy? How do we get it? How do you know if you have it? These are good questions to ask yourself. Do I have empathy? Because the truth is some of us are not geared to be that empathetic. We have not tuned ourselves into others. Those are the type of people that are those workhorses that grind and squeeze everything out of you because all they're doing is moving for one final goal. They don't take into account the life and the person and the humanity of whatever it is this employee needs to function at a higher level. So you can keep the bar of performance and watch and manage that and maintain and deliver, but that leader, when they look away, those employees will dip down immediately into a lower level of performance because they're being squeezed to drive and get that stuff produced. Versus an empathetic leader comes in with protection, with a thought of support and sustaining and making this person happy. And when that happens, there is a bonding that goes on. It's a natural human thing. And those team members, those people that work for you, are now very interested in investing themselves to see that your success is reflected through their work and their effort because you have their back, they want to have yours. Now, what's an example of an empathetic leader when we have a world that is full of leaders that are driving for KPIs, 25% growth a quarter, all of those numbers that they sit within their, high seats in the C-suite and crunch to make Wall Street happy and their board members happy so they can get a good return on their investment? How are these people able then to be empathetic to the people on the ground that are going to deliver that stuff? It takes a couple of things. One, you must step away from your spreadsheets and the data driving ideas of KPIs and all that stuff. Those are important. You must have KPIs. A business is about making money. However, when the KPIs become the sole driver of why you make your choices and how you move and how you act and what your expectations are of your people, you are now just squeezing the life out of these people. Eventually, your turnover will go through the roof. Your people are not going to want to work for you and put out energy and effort to help you. And you will find it becomes a difficult struggle. I had an example of somebody that was an empathetic leader when I was doing some coaching. And I had a friend who, I was coaching this guy, and he is a designer. And he had a company that designed custom furniture for people like Google and Facebook and Apple, and really a cool client list. And it was this corporate space that he would create that would reflect the nature of the company that he was designing furniture for. So it would be a comfortable, good design, good for the space, but also reflect what this company really felt was representative of them within the design of the furniture that he would build for these office spaces. Really cool thing. And during the 2020 pandemic, well, his need to design office space really, really diminished. And his team, as he looked at it and the money that he was making, the revenue that he was bringing in, and the struggles that he was facing, his team was in jeopardy. And he looked at his team, and I remember he came to me and he said, James, I've got my team here, and they're a good team, and I've put them together, and we're really starting to find a stride. But if I have to start cutting and letting some of these people go, when we turn the corner, one, I'm not going to be able to meet the demand, and two, what do these people do if I cut them now? What do they do to get through the day? He was so concerned about his staff and his employees and how he would need to continue to provide opportunities for them to provide for their families. He was their roof. That's what they call it in Russia. In Russia, they ask you, what is your roof? Because your roof is the person protecting you above so that all the bad shit that drops doesn't hit you. That's what a roof is. And he was like giving a roof of shelter to his employees. And he maintained almost all his employees through that downturn. I think he had to get rid of one, which was really hard for him. And that kind of loyalty to your employees in return gets the most out of them. They're aware that this leader, this man is willing, or this woman is willing to stand on the front line, take a personal cut in their own finances, in their own bonuses and everything to keep the people on the front lines going. They're all in it together. Versus a lot of these companies came out of the pandemic after cutting staff, after doing all the draconian measures to keep the spreadsheets clear and clean. Well, they had better profit than they'd had ever. They showed substantial profits. And then they maintain the level of staffing and people that they have, burdening these people so they can maintain those profits. That is a sign of lack of empathy, lack of understanding, lack of willingness to cover for the people that you had on your team before when business was great. And in fact, some of these companies celebrate the fact and reward the leaders that just all they did was get rid of their team and dump more onto the people supporting them. I've experienced that as an employee. I've witnessed it as a coach. And I suspect many of us have seen things like that. Jack Welch of GE is considered one of the great CEOs of time. He took GE and he had years of incredible return for the board members. Looked great. GE was doing really well. And he's still celebrated as quite a wonderful CEO. Simon Sinek attacks his leadership style in the book Leaders Eat Last because Jack Welch was just looking at spreadsheets. He was looking at how to get the most dollars out of each individual and using these people as numbers. The company GE became one which was difficult to work at. It became endemic with people backbiting and stabbing each other and trying to build their own portfolio to get bonuses and get advancement, but not looking out for each other because everything was based on a KPI. There was no sense of community, no sense of looking out for the other, no sense of taking sacrifice for the team. These things only come about when a leader leads with nothing in mind but profit and final goals. So as a leader, when you're making decisions that are going to impact your employees, I would suggest, if you are not doing this now, that you get up off your ass, step outside of your office, and go down to where the work happens. Walk that floor. Engage with those people. Find out who they are. Find out their struggles. And then you may encounter a situation where you change everything. There's a company in Seattle, the CEO of that company, I wish I could remember the name of it. I'm going to just have to tell you about it. You can Google it. But he was on an elevator ride, and his secretary, who thought was excellent, he was riding up the elevator with her. And I may be wrong about the role of this woman that he was in the elevator with, but she was kind of an entry-level position. He looks at her and she seemed really to be struggling. And he said, "How you doing?" And she said, "I'm not doing well. I don't have enough money to go do anything. I have to ride my bike to work in the rain. I can't afford transit. I can't afford parking. I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent. I can barely make enough to eat. I'm trying to figure out if I need to get another job, and I still work here full time. That's how I'm doing." And he thought to himself, he was paying this girl $36,000 a year to do her job, and yet in Seattle, living there, that's not enough to live. It's not a livable wage to comfortably survive. And so he changed his company, and everyone, himself included, made $75,000 a year. The whole response from the community of business was that he was insane, that he was doing things that would be detrimental. He was setting a standard that was no good. And yet his company has continued to produce and generate profit, and his people remain happier, and they work and they put themselves on the line for this man who leveled the playing field and thought empathetically, "Oh my gosh, this person is struggling to provide for me because they don't have the backing they need, the protection they need." So you want to be a valuable leader. You want to get the most out of your people. You want to continue to drive to not just incremental growth, but have exponential singularities, those moments of great insight and expansion. Take care of your people. Be empathetic. Get on the floor. Mix it up. And don't make decisions in isolation away from the people with whom those decisions will impact their lives. That's the key to real delivery and real leadership. And it's backed by years of research. Just read any Harvard Business Review or any recent book on what leadership's about, and you'll find the answer is empirically true. Thanks for joining me. Hope you like it. Stick around. I got a video coming up, How to Be a Leader, the 5 great leadership traits. Hey man, like, subscribe, make a comment if you have great leaders or people that weren't so great. I'd love to hear from you. I'm James Burnham. Thanks for joining me.